Welcome, everyone, to what I can only describe as a delightful little romp through the sewer system of modern American politics. Buckle up because we're about to explore the beautifully dysfunctional relationship between Fox News and former President Donald Trump. Now, some might call it a match made in heaven, but frankly, it's more like a match made in a dumpster fire behind a Waffle House at 2 in the morning. Today, we're dissecting some of the most eyebrow-raising claims made by the former president, and more importantly, how Fox News, that bastion of journalistic integrity, that was sarcasm for those of you blissfully unaware, chose to cover them. Get ready to have your news diet thoroughly scrutinized because things are about to get factually interesting. Let's rewind to when Donald Trump was better known for firing Gary Busey on national television. Before the Oval Office, Trump built a political platform on a debunked conspiracy theory that Barack Obama wasn't born in the US. You'd think a birth certificate would end it, right? Wrong. Common sense was sorely lacking. Who gave this theory life? If you guessed a news organization that rhymes with Sox Views, you'd be right.
Some Fox News shows thought giving airtime to this nonsense was a brilliant idea. They legitimized these claims, and viewers fell into YouTube rabbit holes.
Fact checkers were busy, shouting into the void. Factcheck.org, PolitiFact confirmed it. Obama was born in Hawaii. There's a birth certificate for crying out loud. Some just wanted to believe the worst of the first black president. Who needs facts when you have feelings, right? Especially when those feelings are stoked by a news organization prioritizing ratings over journalistic integrity.
So, we've established that Donald Trump has a bit of a tenuous relationship with the truth, shall we say. But let's fast forward a bit to the 2016 election, where his aversion to facts reached new and impressive heights. Despite losing the popular vote by a not insignificant margin, Trump decided that the only possible explanation for his electoral defeat was, you guessed it, massive voter fraud. Millions of illegal votes, he claimed, had been cast, robbing him of his rightful landslide victory. Because, you know, nothing screams sore winner like alleging widespread voter fraud with absolutely no evidence to back it up.
And who was there to amplify these baseless claims? You guessed it. Fox News, the loyal companion always eager to fetch the bone of misinformation, no matter how far off the reservation it lands. Several Fox News hosts, bless their hearts, decided to parrot these claims without even a hint of skepticism or, dare I say, journalistic responsibility. It was almost as if they were more interested in appeasing their audience and, let's be honest, their corporate overlords, than actually reporting the news.
But fear not, for the fact-checkers were on the case. Organizations like the Brennan Center for Justice and those tireless souls at Snopes emerged from their data-filled bunkers to deliver a message of sweet, sweet reality. There was no evidence of widespread voter fraud, none, zip, zilch. It was almost as if the entire narrative was, to put it delicately, utter bullshit. Now let's talk about a subject near and dear to our former president's heart: crowd size. Specifically, the crowd size at his inauguration. You see, in Trump's world, everything is a competition, and nothing is more important than being the biggest and the best, even if it means bending reality to fit his preferred narrative. So when photographic evidence emerged suggesting that the crowd at his inauguration was, shall we say, less than impressive, Trump did what any rational person would do. He threw a tantrum and declared that his inauguration had the biggest crowd in history, period.
And Fox News, ever the loyal foot soldier in the war against objective reality, dutifully fell in line. Some segments, in a truly impressive feat of journalistic gymnastics, managed to find camera angles and narratives that downplayed the discrepancies, effectively creating an alternate reality where Trump's inauguration was a massive, record-breaking love fest.
But alas, reality, like a persistent cockroach, is remarkably difficult to kill. The pesky fact-checkers at PolitiFact and the Washington Post, armed with nothing but photographs and a healthy dose of skepticism, analyzed the evidence and concluded that, surprise, surprise, the crowd size was smaller than that of other inaugurations, including Barack Obama's in 2009. The takeaway? Never underestimate Trump's ability to make a mountain out of a molehill, especially when he has Fox News there to help him shovel. COVID-19, that unwelcome guest that just wouldn't take the hint and leave. As the pandemic ravaged the globe, Trump, in his infinite wisdom, decided that the best course of action was to downplay the severity of the virus peddle unproven treatments, and generally act like the whole thing was a big hoax perpetrated by his enemies.
It'll disappear like a miracle, he assured us, with all the confidence of a man who has clearly never encountered a virus that wasn't impressed by his net worth.
And when he wasn't busy wishing the virus away, he was promoting the supposed miracle cure of hydroxychloroquine, a drug typically used to treat malaria that, despite Trump's glowing endorsements, turned out to be about as effective as a chocolate teapot in combating COVID-19.
And who was there to amplify these dangerous and misleading claims? You guessed it, Fox News, the network that apparently missed the memo about journalistic ethics somewhere along the way.
Prominent Fox News hosts, echoing their dear leader, downplayed the severity of the pandemic and jumped on the hydroxychloroquine bandwagon with the enthusiasm of a toddler discovering a mud puddle.
It was almost as if they were more interested in pushing a narrative than actually informing their viewers about a very real and very serious public health crisis.
Thankfully, some people still had their heads screwed on straight. Health organizations like the CDC and WHO, those killjoys of the medical world, provided actual data and studies that contradicted Trump's claims.
Fact-checking platforms like factcheck.org and Health Feedback also joined the fray, debunking the misinformation and generally trying to inject some much-needed sanity into the discourse.
It was a classic case of science versus spin, and unfortunately, in the echo chamber of Fox News, spin often seemed to win out. Well, we all knew this was coming, didn't we? The 2020 election, the culmination of Trump's presidency, and, let's face it, his relationship with reality.
As the election results started to trickle in and it became clear that Joe Biden was on track to win, Trump cried foul.
The election was stolen, he declared, with the indignation of a man who just lost a game of Monopoly.
And what was the evidence for this alleged theft? Well, that's a good question, one that Trump and his supporters never quite managed to answer.
There were vague allegations of voter fraud, mysterious suitcases full of ballots, and conspiracy theories involving everyone from Venezuelan dictators to voting machines.
And who gave these baseless claims a megaphone? You guessed it, Fox News.
Initially, some Fox News programs gave airtime to these claims, fueling distrust in the electoral process.
It was almost as if they were actively trying to undermine democracy, one baseless claim at a time.
But then, something interesting happened. Some Fox News anchors started to push back against the most outlandish claims. It wasn't much, but it was a start.
Meanwhile, extensive investigations by state officials, federal agencies like CISA, and independent audits all reached the same conclusion. There was no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
Dominion Voting Systems even filed a defamation lawsuit against Fox News for their role in spreading false claims.
It was a stark reminder that words have consequences, and that even in the post-truth era, reality has a way of catching up with you.
We're nearing the end of our journey, folks, but buckle up because this last stop is a doozy. Let's rewind to the summer of 2017, when white nationalists descended upon Charlottesville, Virginia, for a rally that culminated in violence and tragedy.
In the aftermath of the rally, which saw a counter-protester killed by a white supremacist, Trump, in a moment of breathtaking moral bankruptcy, declared that there were very fine people on both sides.
Now, I don't know about you, but when I think of very fine people, neo-Nazis and white supremacists don't exactly spring to mind.
But in Trump's world, there are apparently very fine people on all sides, even when one side is literally chanting Nazi slogans and waving Confederate flags.
And how did Fox News, that bastion of journalistic integrity, respond to this moral abomination? Well, it was a mixed bag.
Some defended Trump's comments, contorting themselves into pretzels to justify the unjustifiable. Others condemned the violence but stopped short of calling out Trump's false equivalence.
It was a masterclass in both sidesism, the journalistic equivalent of shrugging your shoulders and saying, well, everyone's entitled to their opinion, except, of course, when those opinions are rooted in hate, bigotry, and white supremacy.
The fact-checkers, bless their souls, were once again left to clean up the mess. Media outlets and fact-checking organizations highlighted the absurdity of equating white nationalists with counter-protesters, pointing out that one side was literally fighting for racial justice while the other was chanting, "Jews will not replace us."
It was a stark reminder that there are times when there is no both sides, when one side is simply wrong, and when silence in the face of evil is complicity. Well, folks, there you have it, a whirlwind tour through the funhouse mirror that is the relationship between Fox News and Donald Trump. We've seen how Fox News, in its quest for ratings and influence, has consistently amplified the former president's lies, distortions, and dangerous rhetoric. We've seen how they've prioritized narrative over facts, spin over substance, and loyalty over journalistic integrity. But most importantly, we've seen how dangerous this toxic cocktail of misinformation and propaganda can be. It erodes trust in institutions, fuels division and polarization, and ultimately undermines our democracy. So the next time you find yourself channel surfing and land on Fox News, remember this. You're not getting the news, you're getting a very carefully curated version of reality designed to confirm your biases and keep you watching. And that, my friends, is the real fake news.